Hi everybody, this is Boog Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn figure. So before we take a look at Spawn, let's take a look at the accessories that he comes with. So first up, he has this Mortal Kombat base, and it looks pretty good. And you can put this on either foot. It just ports in pretty easily. And there you can have him on the base, though he stands just fine without it, so you really don't need that. But it is included. And for his last accessory, he comes with a sword, and it looks really nice. It has a bunch of sculpt and paint detail to it. It has the texturing in the center of the blade right there that looks really nice, and it has a wash of like this brownish color over top of the silver. And Spawn logo looks pretty good. As you can see, the right eye there is better than the left eye on the logo. And the wrapping on the handle there looks really nice. It's also got a black wash. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. And Spawn can hold it very well in either hand. You just have to wedge it in like that. And he can hold it just fine. So now let's take a look at the head sculpt. The head sculpt also looks really, really nice. It's got some pretty good sculpt detail to it. The suit there, you get the sculpted lines, and that's throughout the whole figure. It's not just the head, but he has that texturing for his suit there. And the eyes are painted bright green, and then they have some paint around them, some shading around the eyes of black. And that just looks really nice. I love the way that looks. And you get this soft collar for his cape, and the cape has a really, really nice sculpt to it. It has some nice texturing, and it has a wash of black so that all the details are brought out really nicely. You get the skulls and the chain right here that looks pretty good. It has that same coloring as his sword in silver and has that brownish color painted over top of it. But looking at the back of the cape, you get a bunch of nice sculpt detail there. You get some nice wrinkles. And like I said, they painted it. The paint is really heavy right here in the wrinkles by the collar here. But yeah, it has some wonderful sculpt detail that's brought out by that black wash. Though in some places it does get a little heavy, like right here. But other than that, it looks really nice. I love the way it's sculpted. And the lines here on his torso came out really clean. And they also did a brownish wash over top of it. And it looks really nice. It almost looks like it has some sort of sculpted detail to it, but it's just the paint detail. And then you get the spikes on the armband here. And they're painted pretty good, but this also has a black wash over it. It's very subtle, but you can really tell, especially right there. And you get the spikes there. And like I said, most of them are painted pretty nicely, but then you get some like that where some red is still showing through. But it has some nice sculpt detail to it, especially some cracks around the spikes there. And then it has some paint detail to it to bring that sculpt out. And he has more down here on his hand. And you have more of that wash. You also have some fingernails sculpted in on Spawn. And here on his belt you get that same color variation, the silver with that brownish color over top of it, with the spike chains. And these are very soft and rubbery. It would have been nice if he would have put, if McFarlane would have put some real chains on him. But still, these are pretty good. Especially since they're soft and they don't hinder the articulation or anything and they won't fall off. The Series 1 Spawn had port-in chains, which was a horrible idea because they constantly fell off and I am constantly losing them. You get some pouches right here on the left leg. And they're sculpted really nicely. The button there is painted on in gold. And then you have more of that wash over top of it, bringing out all the details. You get more of the sculpted lines on his suit. And here is what I was talking about with the spikes on his boot. They are coming out of the boot, but as you can see, some of them didn't get painted that well. So some red is still showing through. Like these got painted pretty well, but this one, the red is still showing through. And right there, some of the red. As you can see, the spike is sculpted on there, and the paint isn't painted all the way on there. So it did miss its mark just a little bit. I also forgot to show off his gauntlet here on his right arm. Looking pretty good. So now let's go over his articulation, which I have one big gripe with the figure. It's really minor, but it is with the articulation here in the thighs, which I will show in just a second. So now let's go over his articulation. He has a ball-jointed head that can look back all the way. He can look down all the way. He can move his head side to side, and you can also tilt it. He has ball-jointed shoulders that can move out all the way. He has butterfly joints that can move back and forth, and also up and down just a little bit. He has swiveled the bicep, double-jointed elbow that can only bend in that far because of the gauntlet here, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't bend in quite all the way. And he has the ball-jointed wrists that most of the DC Multiverse figures have, that you can get moving up and down just slightly and back and forth slightly because of that. So it does have some articulation, but it is hindered by that. And on this side, you can get the double-jointed elbow bending in all the way. You can also get the wrist moving down, up, and side to side, and hinging. So this one does have a little better articulation, but that's just because this is a bigger one, kind of like the boot on this side is also bigger. He has a ball-jointed diaphragm that can move back just slightly. It can move forward a good amount, and can move side to side really well. And he also has a ball joint down here in the waist, like with the DC Multiverse figures, that when you use it with the diaphragm, you can get him crunching forward all the way, and back all the way. Though you do get a little bit of gappage right there, since this is a separate piece. But it can also move side to side just slightly. He has ball-jointed hips. He can do a complete split. And here is my gripe with the articulation. He does have a swivel at the thigh, but it just moves very slightly. I would have preferred him to put a cut right here where this pouches is and the band right there, because the articulation would have been hidden really well because of these. So at least just give him a swivel at the thigh right here on the left leg. But no, you just get it up in here and it's very limited. But he can kick forward all the way and back all the way. He has double-jointed knee that can bend in all the way, even with this boot. You can probably get this one moving in just a little bit more. Yeah, you can get it bending in just a little bit more. He has ball-jointed ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, and they can move side to side. And if you can somehow spin it around, you can get it acting as an ankle rocker. That is difficult to do, but not impossible. I have done it before. So the articulation is really good on this Spawn figure. My only complaint is at the thighs here. I wish he would have had a thigh cut. That would have been really good. So my only complaint with the figure is really just the hips right here. He could have had better articulation here and here. But overall, it's still really good. He has some really good articulation. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to my Kit Bash Spawn. It's from an earlier Spawn figure, Kit Bash, with the Rebirth Spawn. I think that was what it was called. There he is next to him. And this one is just weird, like his body is just kind of posed awkwardly. This one has a magnetic head that can be interchanged with an unmasked head. But as you can see, he's just posed really awkwardly. But this was the Spawn I was using in my collections until I got this one. There he is next to the DC Multiverse Batman figure. Here he is next to the 1000 Toys Hellboy figure. And I feel like Hellboy should be just a little bit taller. They should be about the same height. Here he is next to the bendable Violator. I think this one came with the Violator monster rig. I can't be sure of that. But he is a very tall figure. Especially when he's not hunched over. I have him just a little bit hunched over. That way he will fit in frame. So yeah, he is way taller than him. Which, I can't wait to see Violator redone. And finally, here he is next to Malbolgia. Let's get him in frame here. So there he is next to Malbolgia. He is another figure I'd like to see redone. But this one is still really nice. The articulation is kind of limited, but he still holds up pretty well. Before I end this video, I did want to show what he looked like with the Rebirth Spawn, or collar top spawn, whichever you want to call it. The collar top spawn accessories on him. So if you're wondering, this is what the new spawn looks like with the collar top spawn accessories. The 2 guns and the ammo belt right there. So if you wanted to put that on this version, you could do that. So overall, I would highly, highly recommend this figure. I have waited for new Spawn figures forever, and this Spawn figure does not disappoint. And if you weren't able to grab this one, there is a second version with a club coming in, I think, August. So yes, I would highly, highly recommend getting this. He absolutely does not disappoint. It is just a great figure. So that is my review. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.